Y'all, we're making blueberry cheesecake bars. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the random web series where we find, test, and sometimes create the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're back with my own recipe for blueberry cheesecake bars. Stay tuned. All right, guys, it's been a long time, but we are finally back. For the first video here of 2023, we're gonna be trying a recipe from my cookbook, Ketogenic Diet on a Budget. This is available on Amazon if you haven't picked it up. If you have, the recipe for today is on page 113. And next month will be about 5 years, my anniversary of being on YouTube, and a lot has changed on YouTube and in the keto world, and there are a lot of new ingredients. So today's recipe, I'm going to be trying some different sweeteners that were not available when this book was written or not as popular. So that's how I'm changing this up. And I'm letting you know this because I think for the first part of this year, I'm always asked, Wes, the bread battle, the biscuit battle, those were 4 and 5 years ago. There's so much has changed. Have you tried new recipes? So I'm going to start a new series remaking some of those old videos from back in 2017 and 2018 and trying some new recipes that have hit the scene. So please join me in the coming weeks and months for that. But before we begin, I need to give a huge thank you to somebody I've been working with for years now, and that is Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic company with meal plans to fit a variety of lifestyles. You can choose keto like us, or paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. It's just great to have a fridge full of delicious and healthy meals that are available and ready to go when you are. Now, I got a box the other day and unfortunately had to leave town rather quickly, and so I gave it to a neighbor who had never had any experience with meal delivery services, and for the next 4 days I got pictures and videos from him cooking. He was so excited, and he did the Southwest chimichurri pork tenderloin that has butternut squash and bell pepper and pepitas. He loved the creamy shrimp primavera, which was made with spaghetti squash, and it has tomatoes and peas, Parmesan, and sunflower seeds. And he kept telling me each one of these is better than the last. He is very health conscious and he likes to cook, but like many of us, gets bored. He said after the second meal, they had already signed up and become members to get Green Chef meals. So I just wanted you to hear it from somebody else's mouth besides mine. You know I love it, but he did too. Guys, they have a fantastic deal, one of their best ones now. If you will use my code Highfalutin60, you will get 60% off plus free shipping. Just go to greenchef.com. So Green Chef, thank you for sponsoring this video and all the ones in the past. I say it all the time, sponsorships like yours are the reason channels like mine are able to remain on the air, and for that I am truly appreciative. So, all right, let's go make some cheesecake bars. Come on. All right, guys, so this recipe, if you happen to already have the book Ketogenic Diet on a Budget, it is on page 113, blueberry cheesecake bars. I'm going to be making a couple of changes here. We're just swapping out the erythritol and powdered erythritol for allulose, which was available back when I wrote the book, but this was about cooking on a budget, keto on a budget, and it just wasn't freely available, and a lot of things have become more available now that more people are doing keto. So we're going to swap out the allulose for this, but be aware that if you don't like allulose, or you only have erythritol or monk fruit or whatever it is, you can also use one of those. All right, guys, so let's get started here. This is 2 cups of blueberries. You can use fresh or frozen. I've chosen frozen because I keep frozen berries in the freezer all the time. So this is 2 cups of blueberries. Again, go to highfalutinlowcarb.com. You can get this full recipe for free if you don't want to get the book, or there's a link to buy the book as well too. Wink, wink. So let's start with this, and we're going to put this over medium heat right now. And to this, we're going to add a little bit of lemon juice. It's a couple of tablespoons. But before we do that, I actually want to get some of the zest off of here too. All this flavors in this zest, and there's not a lot of carbs in there because most of that is going to be fiber. About a tablespoon of zest, and I use my handy dandy microplane. I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch it. Okay, so as you can see, we've got some zest there, and Now I just want to get as much juice out of this as I can, try to keep the seeds out. So I'm going to juice this. You want a couple of tablespoons. It doesn't really matter. You're going to be cooking this down for a while. And I do see that I've got some seeds along for the ride. I'll pick those out in a minute. So we're going to cook this down for about 15 minutes, stirring it occasionally. And we're also going to add a little bit of sweetener to this. And this is 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of, it calls for powdered erythritol. I'm using powdered allulose. It behaves in the same way. To me, it doesn't have that after effect, the cooling after effect. But you need to test it yourself with your blood sugar and see if it affects you or creates cravings. So let's get this moving, and while this cooks down, we're going to start working on our crust. So this is going to sort of macerate and cook down for a while over here, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a moment. So let's turn our attention to the crust. All right, guys, we're back to work on our crust. Now, I'm just kind of continuing to stir this and using the back of a spoon, just sort of mashing these berries up. You don't want to boil off the water, so you don't want to keep a heavy boil on it, but you do want, obviously, to make some of this juice and get it down into a thick gel is what we're trying to do. So just keep that moving for 15 minutes. Now, this is 2 cups of superfine ground almond flour. And now normally, you know, I'd be screaming and hollering about sifting. Sift, y'all, sift, because I hate that nut flours keep these big lumps. But because we're about to press all this down into a pan, it doesn't really matter in this particular recipe. So to this, we're going to add our sweetener. The recipe originally called for 2 teaspoons of powdered erythritol. I'm using allulose again because it's a newer sweetener that's been available in recent years. And also a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon to this. It just gives a nice little kick, almost a graham cracker crust flavor to these bars. So before we add our butter, let's get this incorporated well so that all the sweetener and cinnamon is evenly distributed. And then we're going to do a 1.5 sticks of melted butter, unsalted butter, 1.5 sticks of that, and we're going to put that in. And I'm just going to use a fork, and we just want to mix this. Get out of the way. We're just going to mix this as best we can, and then we're going to press it down into a 9x13 pie plate, and we're going to bake that. The oven right now is preheating to 350 degrees. You want to make sure it's preheated, and you want to cook this crust a little bit and get it brown before we pour our beautiful cheesecake filling all over the top of it, right? So, as best you can, I've taken, yes, the infamous purple Pyrex pan. No, it's not dirty. Do not tell me this pan is dirty. It's purple. It's not dirty. My regulars will know that. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. So, throw this in, and I'm gonna need a rubber spatula for that. Hold on. Watch me dig around this drawer here for a minute. It usually takes about 10 minutes to find something. Okay. So while I'm doing this, guys, if you have new ingredients, techniques, recipes that you've not seen me cover, that you want me to cover as I'm starting to rework my way through my old catalog of videos, the bread battle, the donut battles, the pancake battles, all that stuff, let me know if there's something that I've missed along the way that I've just got to try. Let me know in the comments below. And then also, since it seems to be a topic of conversation, especially among new keto and low carbers, what's your favorite sweetener? I got to tell you that I'm loving allulose. It does not, thankfully, affect my blood sugar at all. I've tested it with ketone meters and with blood sugar meters, and I'm good to go. So if you can tolerate it, I encourage you to look into it. It is delicious and it behaves a lot like sugar. So anyway, I promise this isn't an ad for allulose, but it sounds like one. Okay, so this is in here. So we're going to put this in the not the fridge. We're going to put this in the oven, 350 degrees, and this is going to bake for about, how long did I say? About 12 minutes. My recipe, I don't know. 12 minutes, and then we're going to remove it from the oven. And while that's baking, we're also going to make the filling. So I'm going to wash up here, and I'll see you back in just one more second. All right, guys, our crust is almost ready to come out of the oven. It's going to be in there for 12 minutes, and let's get prepared for our filling. And this is going to be 16 ounces, 2 packages of cream cheese. This definitely has to be at room temperature. Leave this out for at least a couple of hours, otherwise it's just going to be hard to deal with. To this, we're going to add 2 room temperature eggs. And Lord, be careful, this is the most expensive thing in the house these days. Just going to knock these together. There was a little bit of a albumin or something in there, but I mean, at this point a foot could come out and I'd have to use it because price of eggs are crazy. So room temperature egg, get out of the way. That room temperature egg, cream cheese. This is going to be some vanilla extract. You're going to use 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then this is your powdered, called for powdered erythritol. Remember, this is powdered allulose sweetener, a half a cup of that. And then I'm going to just kind of cream this together. You want it to be mixed and fluffy, but not over mixed and heavy, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to cream this together and try not to throw it all over the kitchen with, I hate this Cuisinart. Our crust is out of the oven. The pan is still a little bit warm. You don't want it to brown much, but you do want to give that almond flour a chance to get started early in the oven. So this is our cream cheese and all of our eggs and all that yummy good stuff. So in this goes, and you're just going to try to get this in an even layer across this entire thing. Now, a couple of things that I should have mentioned. One, if you like crunchy stuff, throw in a half a cup of chopped pecans or walnuts or macadamia nuts or some sort of nut in the crust. That makes it fantastic. Also, if you don't like blueberries, don't have blueberries, or just want to try something different, any kind of fresh or frozen berry, low sugar berry will work. I've done this with strawberries, raspberries, a frozen berry medley. Again, I keep frozen berries in the fridge at all times, just in case, because they're easy to keep on hand. So spread this out in an even layer. Again, this pan was buttered, because you do want to be able to get it out when it's all said and done. And lastly, if you want this thicker than these, you can do this in a 9x9 instead of a 9x13, and that would make it a little bit thicker. Just watch your bake time. This is a very, very versatile recipe, as you can tell. All right, so here is our blueberry compote that has cooked down. I used a little bit of a potato masher. It sort of made a nice jelly, and the easiest way I know of to do this is to just sort of spoon this down a trail down the middle, and we're going to swirl this a little bit. Now, if you wanted to get really fancy, you could strain this. Run this blueberry compote through a sieve and take out the fiber and the seeds and the skins, and you would have a really much more refined dessert, I guess you could say, in texture. But I like this. It doesn't bother me, but you could do that. Okay, so take a knife or something like this and just try to swirl this through. It's not going to be the beautiful marbling, because there's a lot of blueberry in this, but this is where most of your sweetness is coming from, these berries. That's why there's not a lot of sweetener added to this, just a few tablespoons here and there, except for the cheesecake filling itself. Now, this was going to go in the oven, 350, back in uncovered for 35 to 40 minutes, and then you're going to let it cool, and then it needs to set up in the fridge for about an hour. So this is beautiful. This is going in. Whew, it's still too hot to touch. So I will see you back here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, we are back, and looky cookie. Oh my gosh. I mean, Okay, it's gorgeous. All right, so now we got to wrestle into this thing and see if we can cut into it and taste it. What does it taste like? Now, this is meant to be chilled. It's been about an hour on a cooling rack, and then it's been an hour in the fridge. So it's been a couple of hours since I've seen you last, but now we just need to try to get into this. This did bake 35 minutes. It didn't need the whole 40. Again, if you're going to go for a thicker pan, you're going to need to cook it a little bit longer. It's best to go in with a sharp knife around the edges here and just sort of loosen this up some. If you buttered it well, the baking gods should be good to us. Okay, so now there are 12 servings in this, and I'll give you some macros here in just a minute, but let's I'm just going to try to get a picture that would look good for the thumbnail, because I don't know if I'm going to use the picture from the cookbook for my thumbnail or one of these. So how do I get it out? This is going to be bigger than a serving, so just be aware. I'm not trying to pull one over on anybody. Okay, the first one's always the most difficult to get out. And you know what? Somebody told me to go for the middle one and cut one on a piece on each side of your pie, and then you won't have to worry about it. Let's see if that works. Sally, Jesse, Raphael, look at that, y'all. Okay, first of all, okay, that looks good. And it held up really well too. Okay, what does she taste like? Again, this is probably 1.5 servings. Y'all, that's so beautiful. Okay. Cheesecake. The blueberries. The allulose. Y'all, the allulose, really. The allulose. Oh. Y'all, truly the allulose makes that. I gotta say, I gotta pat myself on the back again, because this is another great one from the book. I just want to keep eating it. But if you were to make 12 servings out of this, one serving would be, this is without the allulose or the erythritol, would be 324 calories. You have 31 grams of total fat. You'd have 6 grams of protein. And you're going to have 8 grams of total carbs, 2 grams of fiber, so that's 6 grams of net carbs. And if you wanted to, you could pull back the butter in the crust by about a quarter, make it about 3/4 of that, take some of that fat and calories out. But for those that are trying to hit their fat macros on keto, that's a good option for you. Y'all, this thing is so good. I'm about to go eat this, and all right, guys, there you have it. Low carb blueberry cheesecake bars from my cookbook, Ketogenic Diet on a Budget. If you aren't one of the thousands of people that have already purchased this, head on over to highfalutinlowcarb.com to get your copy. Also, this recipe and lots of others from this book are available free on my website at the same address. If you don't follow me on Facebook and you are interested in what I find funny and ridiculous throughout the day, join me on Facebook at Highfalutin Low Carb. And if you want to know things like what did I have for dinner last night and what pictures I think are pretty, join me on Instagram over at highfalutinlowcarb.com. I talk a little more frequently and a little more freely in both of those spots. Thank you all so much. I ask you now, please hit like on this. It lets the YouTube gods know that this is a video to share with other people. Hit like and be sure you are subscribed. If you're a subscriber, hit the bell button. Make sure you are notified as soon as my new videos come out. I also need to give a quick thank you again to the sponsor of this video, Green Chef. Be sure to head over to greenchef.com. Use my code Highfalutin60 to get that 60% off plus free shipping. Again, greenchef.com. Guys, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I'm excited to show you what's happening and going to be coming up in 2023. If you want a little behind the sneak peek, join my rock stars, my Patreon members. You're going to see their names start to scroll over here. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It lets people like you who enjoy what people like like me do here on YouTube. You give $1 or $2 a month just to keep the train on the tracks, as it were. So thank you so much. I love you. And remember, today is a good day to have a good day. Talk to you soon.